Hello my fellow book addicts, Megan here, and time for another book review. Today, I'm going to be talking about A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, and this is book 2 in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. Oh my god, so much happened in this book. So because so much happened in this book, I already know I'm going to be missing out on talking about a lot of what happened. So because of all the stuff that happened, especially towards the end, I am probably going to be doing more reactions than actual description on what happened. And I'm probably going to be doing a lot of repeating of myself. So I apologize in advance for that. So because this is the second in the series, there's probably not much I can say without risking spoilers. So I'm just going to jump right into the spoilery bit. So if you have not finished A Court of Mist and Fury yet, I highly suggest you click away now and come back after you catch up. So where the heck do I begin with this book? I finished this a while ago, but I need to distance myself because of all the feels. Otherwise, I'd just be a mess while trying to film this, and I'd probably make no sense whatsoever. First off, can I just say, Tamlin, what the hell happened to you? I really liked Tamlin in the first book. I really did. I thought he was a good guy, and I honestly wanted Feyre to end up with him. If only because we didn't know Rhys that well yet. But even from the beginning of this book, I'm just like, Tamlin! What the hell, man? His treatment of Feyre pissed me off so much. She just suffered a very traumatic ordeal. To a point, I understand where he's coming from. He really cares about Feyre. He does. And seeing what happened to her under the mountain and being unable to do anything about it, without, risking anything, he was helpless. And that hurt him. But that does not excuse his treatment for Feyre. It does not. Communication is the key to a healthy relationship, and there was none in this. It was basically sex, gift-giving, pretending everything was okay. And it's just no, that's not good. I was super relieved when Rhys finally decided to, step in and basically act out on the deal him and Feyre made in the first book. Where 1 week of each month, she has to come and live with him in the Night Court. That made me feel so much relief, knowing that she was going to be getting away from there and maybe have someone else to talk to. Not that much of that was being done, but whatever. I think the final straw with Tamlin was when he basically locked Feyre up. No, bad Tamlin. I think at that point, that's when I decided I don't like Tamlin anymore. That was just the point of no return. There is nothing that he can do to make me like him again. He knew what Feyre went through. She was a prisoner under the mountain like anyone else. Except, she chose to be there to save him. Now she's really being locked up against her will by someone who claims to love her, and she loves in return. Someone who she was going to marry. You don't do that. I was so happy when Rhys sent Morgan to go get Feyre, because that was not a good environment for her. That was toxic, and she deserves so much better than that drama. She deserves so much better than that shit, and she gets it. I was so relieved. I was so happy at the progression she made throughout this book. I wouldn't say she's completely healed, even by the end, but she was doing so much better. Even despite all the stuff that's going on. With all the looking for the book and the cauldron and just all the challenges thrown their way, Feyre manages to meet them all head on, and Rhys doesn't force her away. Which makes me so glad. I'm really glad they ended up together. But I didn't ship them, but I didn't not ship them at the end of the last book. I was rooting for Tamlin at first, until he became a jerk in this book. The only reason I didn't consider Rhys much of a ship option at the end of A Court in Thorns and Roses was because I felt I didn't know him well enough. You know, he just had that one part, and for a big chunk of it, he wasn't the nicest guy, or he didn't let himself seem like the nicest guy. But now that we learned so much more about him, I feel that I definitely like him more than Tamlin. And we find out that they're mates. It made my heart swell. Like, I understand why Feyre was a little mad that he didn't, you know, tell her. But I understand as well. He didn't want to freak her out, and she was also in love with Tamlin at the time. So what was he gonna do, you know? So I get why he didn't tell her, and he kind of let things play out the way he did. And it does suck that she didn't find out through Rhys. But, you know, after she took a little time to let that sink in, she handled it well. But when they actually end up together, it made my heart happy. And it also made me happy that that tension that has been throughout the entire time she was in the Night Court, it was nice to have that come to some fruition and not just be leaving us hanging. I was afraid that was what was going to happen. Just all that build up just to leave us hanging for the next book. If that had happened, I probably would have cried and been extremely frustrated with how that turned out. So it did make me very happy that Rhys and Feyre actually ended up together in this book. What I really didn't expect, that they would actually be going after the cauldron in this book. Like, part of me was expecting that to kind of pick up in book 3. So when we actually had them going after the cauldron at the end of this book, I got extremely nervous. Because you can't launch a mission like that with maybe a little over 100, 150 pages. Maybe it was even less, I can't remember. I wasn't really keeping track of pages. So, when something that big just starts to happen in a book, I always get nervous, because that tends to mean something's gonna go wrong, in my experience. So I was waiting for someone to get killed, or hurt, or kidnapped, or just basically the mission to totally fail. And it failed. It definitely failed. Like, I thought, you know, when Tamlin locked Feyre up, that I would never like him again. But I never realized how much I could hate him until the end of this book. And, you know, promised to help the king if he got Feyre back in return and the bond that she shares with Rhys be broken. Like, I wanted to strangle him. Like, he didn't even believe that Feyre was within her own control. He thought Rhys was, like, messing with her head and controlling her. Which I'm just like, really, Tamlin? Really? After all the stuff you've done to her, locking her up, basically making her a pretty little pet, not letting her really do anything, and you don't think for a second she maybe left willingly to get away from you? She even sent him a letter saying she left on her own free will and she's staying away on her own free will. Just, what the hell, man? You wouldn't even let her train all these awesome powers that she had. You wanted to pretend they didn't exist for her own safety. What? What? Dude, why? So just, yeah, I want to strangle Tamlin. I also want to smack Lucien, because he's just, you know, sitting back letting this happen, doing a little to help, but not enough. He was almost as bad as Tamlin, being a bystander. Though I do get his point of view. He does have the best of intentions in mind, but he should have been doing way more to help Feyre. And those queens, those mortal human queens, I want to bitch slap. Them also helping the goddamn king, just so that they could become immortal like Feyre. And then them using Feyre's sisters to test the cauldron. Like, when they were putting Elaine and Nesta into the cauldron, I was so terrified for them. I honestly thought Elaine wasn't gonna make it, just because she's so kind and gentle. She didn't seem like the type who would be able to make the transition from human to fae. So when she survived, I was first of all relieved, because poor Elaine. But Nesta, when she was put in, I was afraid really she wasn't going to make it. Just because Elaine made it. So I was worried that Nesta wouldn't make it because of that. But especially when Nesta was being all rebellious, fighting to the very end, being defiant to the very end, I was afraid that because of that she wouldn't survive either. But when she does, I'm just like, thank you. Thank God. Because Feyre doesn't need that right now. She doesn't need to lose her two sisters. Lucien and Elaine being mates. I didn't see that happening. And Nesta's protective reaction was gold. It wouldn't surprise me if Nesta and Cassian end up being mates. Because, it seemed like there was a little something going on with them earlier in the book. And I really feel that they'd be able to hold their own against each other really well in a partnership setting. Both of them are just tough enough to be able to handle the other. So, that seems like a good fit to me. And poor Feyre pulls this huge sacrifice. She does this whole act of pretending to break free from Rhysand's hold. She's pretending that Rhysand had taken control of her mind and basically made her stay with him the past several months. So she begs for the bond between them to be broken. And she wants to go back with Tamlin. And through all this, she's trying to silently communicate with Rhys to take her sisters and get out of there. Which thankfully, Rhys plays along, because he is brilliant. So he plays along, despite the fact that knowing that Feyre was going to be going off with their enemies. So Rhys does exactly what Feyre wants. With their little posse, they get Feyre's sisters out of there. And Feyre goes back to the Spring Court with Tamlin and Lucien. And Tamlin is more than happy to believe that Feyre was not herself while she was with Rhys. That she was being controlled and manipulated, and that she still loves him. And maybe a part of her still does care for Tamlin, but she can't forgive all that he's done. If I thought he was at the point of no return for me liking him before, he's definitely beyond that point now. He's way beyond that point. Here's the point of no return. He's way over there. Lucien knows something's up. He's smart, he's clever, he's observant, and he's not clouded by his emotions for Feyre. So he knows something's up. He knows she's tricking them, but he says nothing because Rhysand has his mate. And he quickly picks up, I need to keep my mouth shut or something might happen to her. And then we get a chapter with Rhys, explaining to the others it's a trick. She went with them willingly so that we could have a spy on their side. So yeah, she's gonna be the Night Court spy, and she is High Lady of the Night Court. So apparently the king did not shatter the mating bond. He shattered that deal bond that they had made in the first book. But just the fact that Rhysand is willing to let her be a spy in enemy territory just proves he loves her, but he doesn't want to cage her, which is way more than Tamlin would have done. No way Tamlin would have let her go off and done that. And I did like how he did kind of apologize for his earlier behavior to Feyre once he got her back. But, like I believe Feyre said, little too late for the apology. Too little too late. She's made up her mind, and she's with Rhysand now, and she's just with Tamlin now for spying purposes. So it looks like in the next book, we're probably going to be getting 2 points of view. Feyre and Rhysand. So, I'm curious to see if Tamlin is able to redeem himself even the slightest bit. I doubt he's going to have even a chance at being a romantic interest again. That ship has sailed. I wonder if he can redeem himself just enough so that he isn't quite as hated. I'm also really curious to see how Elaine and Nesta handle being Fae. So I hope we see some of that, because that will be interesting. I have a feeling Nesta is not going to be such a big fan of Tamlin or the Queens. I can picture her happily going out into the battlefield and just taking them all on. Just, I actually really hope we see that now, because that will be a very fun bit to read. Just, I feel there's so much more I should be saying. So much more. But I'm afraid this video is gonna be so long as it is. Just so this doesn't turn into like a 20-30 minute video. So I'm gonna stop myself here. Just, this book. So much happened. It was full of so many ups and downs, and I loved it. And I am really excited to see what book 3 has to offer us. So what did everyone else think about this? What were your favorite parts? What parts left your heart breaking? Just share your thoughts. So yeah, that is it for this book review, and I hope to see you guys next time. Keep on reading, my fellow book addicts. Keep on reading.